In this video, we're going to be covering my updated ad strategy for 2024 moving into 2025 for Facebook and Instagram, otherwise known as Meta. So Facebook/Meta is always changing their ad manager platform and interface, adding new features. So it's really important that you keep up to date with the latest strategies. The strategy I'm about to cover is extremely simple to set up. It's extremely simple to follow along and understand. It doesn't necessarily require a large budget either, and it gets results like these. You can see here, these campaigns performed extremely well with cost per results ranging from $5. Some of them are even lower than $5. We got into the $4 range here with this one per purchase. So running this type of ad strategy is extremely profitable for me, which is really what you want out of paid advertising. You don't want to waste a ton of money. You actually want to get results and purchases from it to obviously scale up and increase your business. And this strategy is going to work for every level of business, whether you just started off and opened up your e-com brand or drop shipping store, or if you're running a multi-7-figure online business, or you're working for that business and you are in charge of running their ads. You want to get better results for you and your team, and this video is going to do exactly that. Here's kind of the game plan that we're going to go over right now. We're going to cover some quick tips for you guys and things that you need to know before even thinking about running some ads. Then I'm going to walk you through the strategy in like a flowchart type of way that you can easily digest it, and you can also save it for later if you want to copy and paste it. And then I'm actually going to go into Facebook Ad Manager and walk you through step by step exactly how to set this up with the right settings so you don't make any mistakes. And then after that, I'm going to talk about some analysis and metric readings and things that you should be looking for once you start running your campaigns to make your decisions whether to cut ads or increase them, but overall just basically how to understand the data that you're receiving. Basically, by the end of this full Facebook Meta guide, you're going to be an expert in Facebook and you're going to be creating a lot more profitable campaigns, putting more money in your pocket. All right, so let's get right into it. These are the quick tips and things you need to know about this strategy and Facebook moving forward, especially in 2024 moving into 2025. You need to know that this ad strategy is heavily reliant on marketing angles. Marketing angles, in my opinion, and a lot of other people in the e-com space, is really that they're the true needle movers in an online business in terms of paid advertising. And if you don't know what marketing angles are, and if you're a complete beginner, let me explain. Marketing angles are the way that you present your product in terms of advertising to a customer base. The more marketing angles that you can assign to your product, the higher chance of success that you have, because these angles are kind of hitting a different demographic of audience, and it's really niching down specifically to that group that it's hitting. And then obviously the more marketing angles that you have, the more small groups of a bigger group that you're going to be able to target with your advertisements, leading you to find the right angles for your product. A great example of a marketing angle is Zima Dental. I've been talking about this one a lot lately. I really fell in love with this marketing angle once I saw their ad on my Instagram account, I think it was. And so what this product really originally was a supersonic jewelry cleaner. You've probably seen them before. You put in your rings or your watches and it does these like little vibrations. You can put soap in there or whatever, and it shakes all the dirt out of your jewelry. Now what they did with this product, and keep in mind, it's just a marketing angle that changed the product completely, is they said, hey, we're not going to actually advertise this product as a jewelry cleaner. Everyone's doing that. Let's advertise it as a retainer cleaner, right? So your retainers get gross, disgusting, there's bacteria on them. Let's take this exact same product, don't change anything about it, but then just use the angle of cleaning your retainers with it. They also upsell you on subscription service as dental pods. So you drop them in, it's like a little Alka-Seltzer tab, and it cleans all the gunk off of your retainer. That's why this company is really crushing it, because they came up with a unique marketing angle for this product and really went with it and pushed. So that's an example of a marketing angle. It really is just the way that you're advertising the product and hitting it in a different way that's unique and maybe the market hasn't seen before. If you can master this skill of marketing angles, you are going to have a lot easier time in your e-commerce business. Trust me. All right, now that you know what marketing angles are, they are heavily used in this ad strategy, which I'll explain further on down the road. The next thing that you want to know is what your break-even ROAS is, or your break-even return on ad spend. And this is also going to tie into your cost per acquisition. So what a return on ad spend means in its simplest terms is what is your return, which is your revenue that you gained on the amount of ad spend that you put out. So if you spent $100 on Facebook ads and you received $300 in revenue from those ads, you have a return on ad spend of 3. There's a lot of calculators out here to figure out what your break-even ROAS is, but the simplest way to do it is just plugging in your cost of goods sold. So how much does it cost for the product to be shipped, the order of the product itself, any Shopify fees that come into play as well. Basically everything that you're gonna have to pay for besides the advertising. Let's just say everything altogether is $10 and we're selling them for $30. So we're marking up our product 3 times what we're paying for it in terms of the cost of goods sold. So your cost multiplier is 3 times right here. Your profit margin is 66% and your break break-even ROAS is 1.5. So that means when we spend $100 on Facebook, if we get $150 in revenue back, we are breaking even on our advertisements. Now, this is a very important term to know when you're running advertisements, because if you're not hitting your break-even ROAS, let's say you're spending $100 on Facebook ads and you get $140 back in revenue, you'd be at a ROAS of 1.4, which would mean you're actually losing money by running ads. So you need to keep these numbers in mind and establish what your break-even ROAS is. That way you can look for these metrics on the back end of Facebook once you start advertising. Now, the next tip or piece of information about Facebook in Meta is that the higher daily spend you are throwing at Facebook, the quicker you will get your data back that you need to make an educated decision moving forward. And that will ultimately trickle down, leading you into getting more sales, because the quicker you can make decisions in business, obviously the more efficiency and the time that you can actually get profitable decreases, right? So if you're spending $5 a day on Facebook ads, it's going to take you a long time to collect enough data to say whether or not this product is working, this angle is working, this advertisement's working. But if you're spending $100 a day or $500 a day, you're going to get a lot of data very quickly and be able to make those decisions. I'll actually talk about this a little bit more once we go into the breakdown. All right, so the next tip, if you are not familiar, is about Facebook and pixels, right? So what a pixel is a string of code that is placed onto your Shopify website or any general website, and it tracks user data based on where the traffic is coming from. So if you have a pixel on your Shopify website and you're running ads on Facebook, Facebook sent some of that traffic onto your Shopify website and they said, hey, this person that we tracked from this ad made a purchase. They collect that data and store it in your pixel. And the stronger that your pixel gets, the more data that it collects, the better your ads actually perform, because they know exactly what kind of person or demographic of person they need to be showing your ads to. It just gets better and better as it learns. So having a pixel and properly connecting it is extremely important to do. And if you don't have one, I wouldn't even run advertisements. You need to collect this data, because the more data your pixel collects, the more it's going to know where exactly to send your traffic in the advertisements to get you the best results. It just gets better and better over time. I'll cover this briefly as well when we're setting up the Facebook account. Now, the last thing that I want to mention as a quick tip before we really dive into it is that this strategy doesn't really use interest targeting at all. A lot of people actually in 2024 moving forward are not using interest at all. We're doing broad audiences. And you might think that sounds counterintuitive and you might not even know what I'm talking about, but on Facebook, you can actually choose interests of people that you want to send your advertisement to. So what you can say is like, if I'm selling a coffee mug, I want to target people that like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, because hey, the people that have that interest like coffee, obviously, so send it there. Now, interest targeting was really popular back in the day, like 5 years ago, before the iOS 14.5 update happened, where Apple made it so you cannot track as much data, essentially, in short. And this led Facebook's interest targeting did not work as well, and they started pushing everyone broad to build up their algorithm again. And broad has been performing way better since then, and it's getting better and better every year, so people are still being encouraged to go broad in terms of their interest targeting. And I have a theory one day that Facebook is actually just going to remove interest altogether, because they're going to have enough data and their algorithm is going to be really strong. Now, one more last little tip here in terms of advertising in general. Whenever you're running campaigns, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or any social media platform, you really want to isolate one variable at a time to test. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on marketing angles in this strategy as an example, but really you can apply this ad strategy to any type of variable, right? Maybe it's the color of the background of the image ad. Maybe it's the headline or the copy or the landing page of your website. Those are all variables that you can test to see which one performs the best. But you really want to isolate one variable at a time if you can, because if you change the colors, you change the copy on all of them, you change the interest targeting, maybe you change the landing page, and you set up that new ad and you start running it and you're like, hey, it's actually performing better. Now, how can you definitively say, was it the landing page that actually helped that I changed? Was it the color of the ad? Was it the copy? What was it that actually helped my ad? I can't really tell because I changed so many variables. Which one helped? Which one hurt? Did they all help? Did all of them but one hurt? So isolating one variable at a time is very important. It can get tedious, but it's the best way to do it. Otherwise, you're just guessing. Now, those are the tips that I want you guys to think about while we're moving into this strategy here. Again, I'm going to kind of cover them in this strategy, so it'll make a lot more sense moving forward. All right, so let's unveil the strategy. And this is in Figma, and this is kind of the layout and structure of what I like to use for Facebook ad testing and scaling. And it might seem a little bit overwhelming. There might be a lot going on here, but trust me, it's a lot easier than it seems. We're going to break it down for you right here. And then I'm also going to show you step by step how to do this on Facebook. That way you can literally follow along in this video and copy my exact strategy. All right, so at the top here, we've got a CBO campaign. campaign. And a CBO campaign is a campaign budget optimization. On Facebook, there are 3 different levels to advertisements. There's the campaign level, there's the ad set level, and then there's the ad creative level. We're gonna cover all of this in the step-by-step walkthrough, but the campaign level is where you have your objective of the campaign, whether it's sales or leads or traffic. The ad set level below that is where you do interest targeting. Maybe it's you want to change the age, the demographic, the audience interests, the gender, the countries that you're targeting. All of that stuff is done on the ad set level. And then on the ad creative level is what it actually sounds like, which is adding your ad creatives on there, where you can plug in your videos, your images, and change the copy and the headlines of the actual ads that get shown to people and what they will see on their end. So now that we have a little brief overview of that, this is the campaign level. And the CBO versus an ABO, if you have campaign budget optimization on, what that means is you can put in $100 on Facebook right here per day to spend, and that will actually be divvied up between the ad sets and then down to the ad creative levels for both of these ad sets. So this ad set and area might get $50, this one will get $50, maybe this one gets 40, maybe this one gets 60. It's however Facebook sees fit. You're essentially giving Facebook more control of where to spend the money in terms of all the ad creatives and the ad set level. It's a good thing to do because it helps Facebook's algorithm, and it really gives Facebook more control, which they like to have in terms of, we think this ad is actually performing the best. We're gonna spend $20 on that compared to 10 to this one. And they do this based on obviously customer engagement of the advertisements, right? So if one of the ad creatives has a longer watch time and way more likes than the other ones, they're gonna be like, oh, people like this ad, let's spend more money here. So it really takes a lot of the manual work out for you, and that's the strategy that we're gonna be covering today. Now, before we even get deeper into it, a lot of people talk about budget, what you should be spending on Facebook, Instagram, Meta, or whatever you may be advertising on. So it's a really interesting thing. Obviously, budget is a personal thing. If you're a big brand, you may have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on advertising. And if you're running a solo business by yourself and you just started, and you might say, I only have $100 of budget to spend a day, it doesn't necessarily matter too much. Again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the more that you spend, the quicker you're gonna get your data. So if your budget's only $5 a day, you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer than someone who has a budget of $100 a day. The strategy works for both, it's just about time. But a good rule of thumb is when you're testing a product and a ad campaign or creative is to spend at least 3 to 5 times the average order value of your product. So for example, let's say I'm testing and selling a product that has a $50 selling point. I would want to run a Facebook ad campaign for anywhere from $150 to $250 before I make any decisions on the data that I received, or if I want to turn it off or scale it up. It's a good rule of thumb because Facebook needs a good amount of data, and you actually have to kind of feed that with dollars. And giving it more of a budget allows Facebook to test different audiences easier and find that right audience for you and optimize your campaign. So just keep in mind, a good rule of thumb is 3 to 5 times your average order value before you can make any decisions on that campaign. And typically you also want to run it for a minimum of 3 days. I like to do 7 because day of the week can matter depending on your product. Maybe you're selling a product that is a weekend product, and most people on the weekends would make the purchases and no one wants to buy it during the weekday. So that's why it's good to run it for at least a full week to see how that plays out as well. So this is the way our campaign is going to be set up. We're going to have the CBO campaign up top. We're going to have 2 different ad sets. You could technically do this in one ad set, but I like to do 2 just to keep it a little bit cleaner and organized. Our interests are going to be completely broad. Each asset is going to have a different marketing angle in it, 2 primary text and 2 headlines. And there's something called DCT that Facebook has an option for. This is dynamic creative testing. And what it does is allow Facebook to change the copy of your image ads or your video ads and things like that, so they can test which one works the best. It's a new tool that they have, and kind of the more hands-off you are, Facebook likes that. So it's a great thing to test and try out. And so underneath each of these ad sets, we're going to do completely broad audience, which I'll show you how to do. We're going to have 1 video ad, edited content. So this is like your typical video ad that you would see online. We're going to have an image ad that's made on Canva. I'll show you where and how to do that. And then we're also going to have 1 video ad that is UGC style, which is user generated content. And so we need to double that. We're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So we really just need 2 pieces of each type of content to test against each other, all with different angles, keep in mind. This is the most efficient way to do it. If you don't have that many angles and you don't have that much content and you're a newer brand, you can just do 6 image ad creatives, which are super easy to make with 6 different angles, and test them that way. This is totally up to you how much content you have, but I would recommend doing it in this format. Again, if you can't, just do all image ads. Image ads work great as well. So now once you set those up and start running them, you're going to run them for the 3 days at minimum, or the 3 to 5 times average order value of your spend. And then you're going to look back at the data and say, is this profitable? Yes or no? If you're saying yes, it is profitable, we're going to analyze which ads are profitable and make iterations of those winning angles. So let's say you were running that jewelry cleaner and you did the dental version of it for their tanning cleaning, and you're like, this is the winning angle. Let's take that angle, let's update our landing pages, It's clearly the thing that people want to see the most of and like the most. Now let's change everything and make new iterations of ads with that angle. Now you'd come down to two different options, which is scaling and also creating new ad sets to test again with the same product, but just different angles again. Now I'm actually going to leave scaling to the end of this video because it won't make too much sense right now. You probably just want to get right into the walkthrough of how to actually set up this campaign. But this is a great structure. And if you want a copy of this, just take a screenshot right here and you should be good to go. Now that you have an overview, let's actually go into Facebook Ad Manager, and I'm going to walk you through all of this, what I just did, step by step, and cover every single option that you have. That way you are an expert in the Facebook Ads Manager. All right, so this is the Facebook Ad Manager. You've probably seen it before if you're watching this video. If you haven't, you just go on adsmanager.facebook.com where you have your business account linked to, which would be either your Instagram or Facebook account for the business page that you're running. So from here, we're going to go into create campaign here. We're going to start our new campaign. So we've got the buying type as auction. We want to leave it on auction because this is how Facebook works the best. It's a bidding system. So the better your ads are quality wise and performance wise, they're actually going to give you cheaper bids, and cheaper bids result in cheaper cost per purchase, which is kind of what we're aiming for. So you want to make sure you have high quality ads, just a little FYI there. Now from here, we can choose the campaign objective, and the options are awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Most of the time we're going to want to choose sales. Unless you just want traffic on your website or you need leads for your business, then you can choose leads or traffic. But if you're running an e-commerce brand where you're selling products, you always want to choose sales. This is telling Facebook, hey, you're actually going to want to target people that make sales from advertisements on Facebook and Instagram. That's the type of audience you want. You don't want people that just click and then leave off of your website. That would be traffic. You want to actually make sales with your advertisements. That way you're profitable. So always make sure that you click sales when you're setting up your Facebook campaigns, if that's your goal. Now there's two options that set up your campaign. There's Advantage Plus shopping campaign, which we're not going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a manual sales campaign. The difference is there's a little bit more of a simplified setup for this version, and they take like full control. And there's a couple other options that they have in there, but I don't like doing that as much. I like doing a manual sales campaign and having some control, at least over the way the structure of the campaign is set up. So we're going to click on manual here and hit continue. Now for the campaign name, you can change this to whatever you want. So we can just do like red light therapy wand, and make sure when you're naming your campaigns, it's really up to you, but you can name them whatever you want. I like to keep them very organized and say like, you know, if I was testing US only, maybe 18 plus, you can put that in there. That way, when you're looking at your metrics and your campaigns, if you've got a lot of lines running, like one of my Facebook ad accounts has over 4,000 lines on it, it gets a little bit messy. So you want to keep it really organized by naming them something that you're going to remember of what actually the campaign is about. Now for special ad categories, I don't think you're probably going to want to do any of these. This is for like credit, employment, housing, social issues, elections, or politics. If we're selling products online, you're probably not going to fall under any of these categories, so you don't have to worry about that. Now for the campaign details, the buying type is auction. We're having the sales objective. Using a catalog if you want. This goes with your Shopify catalogs and you can link them in here, but we're going to be manually uploading these ad creatives, so we don't have to do this. You can create A/B tests in here, which is A/B testing, you know, maybe copy, marketing angles, targeting, things like that. We're going to be doing this manually, so we don't need to do this. Now we come down to the ACB, which is the new way of saying campaign budget optimization, which I talked about earlier. So for this, we're going to select it on here, and what we want our daily campaign budget to be, again, is up to you. I think $100 is pretty good and standard. Again, you can do this on any budget. And again, the more you have to spend daily, the quicker you're going to get your results and your data to make educated decisions. So just as a quick little reminder, the daily budget for Advantage campaign budget means at this level, this is the campaign budget level, it's going to distribute $100 a day down through the ad set and the ad creative level. And it does this based on how Facebook sees fit and the data that it's collecting from the customers and the way they interact with your advertisements. Now we go down here to budget scheduling. You don't want to do this because we don't really have that information yet, especially if we're just testing this campaign. An example of when you could use budget scheduling is like I had an example earlier. Let's say your product always sells from Friday to Sunday and then sales drop off Monday to Thursday. You might notice that over time and think, oh, well, why don't I just spend money only on Friday to Sunday? That's when people are purchasing. So that's when you can do that here. You can increase your budget during specific time periods. Ad scheduling is the same thing where you can change it from running ads all the time to just from, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. if that's something that you noticed. But for now, we don't really have that information, especially if this is a new campaign, which I'm assuming you're doing. So we're going to leave this blank here and we're going to hit next. Now we're at the ad set level, and this is where you're going to do all of your interest targeting. You can name your ad set whatever you want. Let's say it's US 18 plus. So you can name it whatever your interest targeting. Maybe you want to to sell something in Germany only, you can put that in here as your ad set name. It's totally up to you. Now for the conversion location, we're going to have website, and this is where you're going to plug in your pixel. Down to the performance goal, we want to maximize the number of conversions. That's what we want to do. We want to sell as much as we possibly can. So I would leave this blank, and I wouldn't maximize for any other goals here besides conversions, because that's our goal. Now this is where you're going to plug in your pixel. And again, the pixel is what tracks all of the information from people going onto your website after they click on your advertisement, and it'll collect things like what kind of interests they have, where they live, pretty much a bunch of scary data, but it's good for us as marketers because we need to know this information to make educated decisions. So this is where you plug in your pixel. And if you don't have a pixel yet, all you do is click create new pixel, enter the name for your pixel, pixel store XYZ, hit create pixel, add your website. So if your website is a Shopify website, whatever it may be, you just plug in your website URL right here. So you plug in your website here. Let's just use Zima Dental as the example. Hit check, hit next, hit write code now, Metapixel and Conversions API. This is what you're going to be wanting to use. Just hit next. Now the option here is to manually implement the API code into your website, or you can use a partner integration. If you're on Shopify, WordPress, some other ones as well, they have a great partner integration to make setting up your pixel super easy. So you could say check for partner, and then you'd click, if you're using Shopify, click on Shopify. Now you would just log into your Shopify account here and see the instructions here and complete this on Shopify, verify the connection, confirmation, hit next, and you'd be done. Your pixel would be all set up and ready to go. It's a very easy process. I'm not going to walk you through it. It's pretty boring, but it's just super step-by-step and easy to do. And make sure you have your pixel set up before running your ad campaigns. Now that it's set up, we've got the pixel test here. Our conversion event, we're going to want to choose purchase because we want to track conversions in terms of purchases. And then cost per result goal. I never set this up. This is where you could say like, hey, I want my purchases to be under $10 because my break even, like I need to get a $10 cost per purchase. When you plug that in there, it limits Facebook's bidding, which usually does not spend all of your budget, which then it doesn't really work. It's never worked for me. I have seen it work for some people, but it just depends on a lot of factors. I like to leave it blank and let Facebook do its thing. Now, this is where we go down to the dynamic creative section, which I was talking about earlier. Let's turn this on. You'll provide creative elements and it's going to switch them up automatically and generate combinations, giving us a little bit better chance of optimizing our ads and letting Facebook do that for us. Now for the budget and schedule, it does not matter. We can't even change this option because we did a CBO or a campaign budget optimization. So the $100 again is going to be distributed down to the ad set level, down to the ad creative level. So therefore we cannot actually change the budget on the ad set level. So we would leave this blank. You can set an end date if you want, or you can just monitor it yourself and turn it off when you need to, or scale it up, whatever it may be. Budget scheduling, don't really need to do that. We talked about that. Ad set spending limits. You can put this in if you're like, I don't want to spend more than $500 total on this campaign, and then cut it off. Audience controls. This is where you're going to actually do the interest targeting, which I talked about that we don't really want to change. So for the audience controls here, you can say, locations, maybe let's add Canada, United Kingdom in here, wherever you think people are going to purchase your product, but we're going to keep this simple. This is totally product dependent, up to you. We're going to keep this simple and just leave it as United States 18 plus as the minimum age. Otherwise, there's a lot of legal restrictions based on different countries and ages and interests and things like that. And again, we want to go broad. So we don't want to have any interest targeting in here at all. We just want to do 18 plus unless your product is obviously something where it's for like 65 plus year olds or something like that. Again, the interest in terms of country and age wise really are product dependent, so you should know that about your own product, or you can have a best guess. But for now, we're going to leave this broad. We don't want to do any interest targeting at all. We don't want to allow Facebook to decide where to show our advertisements and what types of people that we want to show them to. Now there's the Advantage Plus audience option where you can add an audience suggestion, which would be where you do your detailed targeting. You say, hey, people that like cups like Starbucks. You add that in here and it's going to target people that like Starbucks. In theory, this was good. It was good back in the day. Now it is not. Facebook is performing way better lately broad, and it's just getting better and better year over year. So let's just leave this broad. Don't worry about it. Now you go down to the placement section. And so what placements are, they are places that show the ad, right? If you're on Instagram Reels, that's a placement. If it's on Instagram feed, that's a placement. If it's on Facebook feed, that's a placement. You can actually go in here and edit these and say manual placements. And you can say, I only want to show it on Facebook and just the feed. And you can choose that here. I don't recommend doing this. I recommend doing Advantage Plus. It always netted me in cheaper cost per purchases, even if I knew exactly where the most purchases were coming from. If it was Instagram stories, anytime I'd isolate that, it wouldn't work and the price would go up. This is just me, maybe something that you can play with later on down the road once you notice that. But for most of the time, Advantage Plus for placements always works the best. So now we set up the ad set level. Now we're going to be moving on down to the ad creative level. You can name it whatever you want. What I would do for this ad strategy, since we're testing marketing angles against each other, I would call it marketing angle 1, which is, let's say, the retainer, and then you'd add them accordingly for your 6 marketing angles that you're testing. Now, it's not a partnership ad, so we're gonna leave this off. This is when you partner with creators or other brands and says like, half sponsored by this person and this influencer. We're not doing that. We're running our own ads here, so we don't have to worry about that. Facebook page is where you're gonna link your Facebook page. Instagram account is the same thing here. Make sure both of them are linked. And if you don't have one, just quickly create one because this is where it's gonna be labeled from, or it's when you see the advertisement on Instagram Reels at the top, it'll have your brand name, linking it to your Instagram account page as well. This is how you actually get a lot of natural followers, is by running advertisements. So make sure to connect those two, and then we're gonna go down to the ad setup here, the creative source. We're gonna do a manual upload. We're gonna add our 6 ad creatives manually in here. And so the formats you can choose from are single image or video or carousel. I like carousels a lot, but I think it's a little bit better down the road. And carousel is the scrollable multiple videos and images. I think that they do pretty well, but you really need some data to back them up first and what to actually put in the carousels, what products, what pictures, what angles. So since we're not doing that right now, we're testing single image or video. That's what we're gonna leave as our format. Leave this checked as multi-advertiser ads, that is fine. Now you're gonna select your ad creative. So if you got an image ad made or a video ad created, this is where you'd plug it in. Now again, like I was talking about earlier in the strategy, we've got 2 image ads. There's one on this side and one on the other ad set. We've got 2 video UGC ads. We've got 2 video edited ads. So a total of 6 ad creatives, 4 of them being video. If you don't have enough video content or you don't want to do it for some reason, you can just run all image ads. I like to do that in the beginning. It's so much quicker. I'll actually show you a quick tool. If you want to just do image ads, this is the best tool for it. So this is creativeos.io. It's a fantastic company that provides templates for both static ads and landing pages and emails. So this is what makes it super, super easy. You can crank out like 10 quality image ads in like under an hour, I'd say. You go through any of the templates that you like here and like, oh, like, you know, I'm selling serums as well. So I like this one and I think this looks beautiful. And by the way, all of these image ads are inspired by major brands that have been running these for months. They're proven to convert, and that's why they're on this as a template. And so what you can do is either copy into Figma, you can copy into Canva, you just click it right here and hit use template for new design. It would put it in a Canva template here, and all you have to do is replace the copy if you want and the image here, but it's now the exact same format that a bigger brand is using. This is also the same thing for landing pages. So as a side note, this is just a cool feature I want to talk about real quick, and then we'll get right back to it, I promise. But as a side note, if you're building out a landing page and you're like, I'm not that good at building websites or whatever, they have 50 landing page templates in here that you can copy and paste into your own website and just change all of the images and the copy to fit your product and brand. But all the structures and templates are optimized for whatever niche that is chosen here. So it's like, oh, if I do have a wallet brand, like Ridge does a really good job with their flow and their warranty page and all that stuff, and I love the way this looks. I want to use it for mine. You just copy this, plug in your own product, your own copy, and then now you have the exact same layout that Ridge Wallet has. Same thing with emails, but I'm not going to get into that. I just wanted to really show the static ads. And so if you don't have a lot of videos, image ads are great. They're cheaper typically. So using these templates is amazing, and they update them with 10 new ones a day, which is pretty awesome. If you want to try out Creative OS, I'll have a link down below in the description, so make sure to check that out. All right, going back to the ad setup here. So this one, we're going to be doing an image ad. So you click select images, and here's our image ad. Let's pretend this is an image ad that we just made. Hit continue. Now we're going to look at the ad preview, and this is where you're going to have your primary text. You could say, you know, best wallet in town or whatever the angle is. Let's say this is an image ad, and the marketing angle for this specifically was the RFID blocking feature of this wallet. That's the marketing angle. So you like say like no more stolen identities, whatever you may be for your text and angle. And from here, we can use all text variations. So we can click check all. It'll actually cycle through all these variations and plug them in onto your ads automatically for you and test them and see which one people resonate with the most. And then you go down to the headline. And so all of these texts, I'm just going to do text example right here. All of these are where they show up on, right? In terms of the advertisement. So no more stolen identities on Instagram feed. That's where it shows up here. So that's where the primary text is. So for Instagram stories, you'd see it right here, right here. So you can fill this out with whatever you want, represents your marketing angle as well. You can do all text variations of that as well. If you'd like to, give them more options. And then the description is the last piece of text here. Stop getting your ID stolen, save it with this RFID blocking wallet, blah, 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 whatever your marketing angles are here. So fill out this copy information based on what your angles are. For the call to action button, which is the button that they can actually click, I like to have shop now. Super weird thing that just happens in my account is whenever I don't do shop now, the ads actually get rejected. I always have to do shop now, which is fine because I think it's the best one anyway, but it's something to keep in mind. I don't know if it does that to other people. So you can leave that there. Info labels is to highlight attractive information about your business, such as number of page likes, links or free shipping or stuff like that. So you can add little taglines if you'd like here. This is totally up to you. You can also now throw in promo codes, which is kind of cool. If you're like 25% off, here's the tap or add the code onto your thing. It's a good thing to do and mess around with. Then scrolling down to the destination, this is where you'd plug in your website. So if we were doing like the Zima Dental, you'd plug in your website right here, but you don't want to plug in the homepage. You want to plug in your landing page directly to the product page for the product that you're selling. You don't want to have them go on your homepage, find that product, then go to the landing page. You want to make it as seamless as possible. So do zimadental.com and then like product one or whatever your product URL is. Then we'd scroll down here and leave everything blank. We don't need to do anything there. Languages, you can change them if you'd like to. Again, just depends on where you're advertising your products. And then we'll scroll down, make sure your tracking is set up. Your meta pixel should be active here. If it's not, just go to Advanced Manager and set it up. But you already should have done that before, so you should be good to go. So that's how you set up the full one ad creative right now. But our strategy requires us to have 3 ad creatives under each ad set, right? And then the CBO is going to trickle that budget down to those 3 different marketing angles on each ad set. And so an easy way to do that is just following the steps I just did right now. But now we can do quickly duplicate. We'll do it one more time. Now we've got 3 creatives under this ad set. We're going to duplicate this one. So now we have exactly the format that I have right here for this campaign. The ad set level is going to remain the same because our variable that we're testing is marketing angles. So we don't have to change anything on the ad set level, which is here, or the ad set level right here. The only things that we want to change are the marketing angles and the ad creatives under each of the ad creative levels. So we had marketing angle 1 in here, which is the retainer cleaner. Let's say angle 2 for that product is jewelry cleaner. And we have got the image ad or video ad creative to represent that. And here you'd add your second ad creative, your second marketing angle, and then you'd scroll down and obviously change the copy or the text variations for it to represent that angle. So you'd add angle 1 here, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6, and then you'd be fully set up and running it with this strategy right here. Once you've actually filled out all of this information, I'm not going to do it step by step for each one because I just showed you how to. It would take a lot of time. Once you have all of your ad creatives in, you're just going to hit publish, and then your ad is going to go into review. Facebook takes anywhere from an hour to 48 hours to review your ad to make sure it complies with their policies. And once it gets approved, it'll start running your ad and spending money on it. Now, let's say your ads have been running for 3 days, maybe a week, and you've spent $300 on your ads, and you think you have enough data to actually make some decisions. But let me show you what you should be looking for and what means what in the metric area on Facebook Ads Manager. That way you know exactly what everything means and you can make your decisions. So this is what it's going to look like when you start running some ads. Obviously, my account on this one specifically has a lot more spend than you probably have on it, but it doesn't matter because I'll talk about all these metrics here. So similar to setting up your ad campaign, there's the campaign level, the ad set level, and the ad level, and you can look at them differently based on the metrics. They all kind of have the same metrics like reach, frequency, and things like that. But at the ad level would be specific to this tutorial because we'd be looking at how each of those ad creatives specifically or the marketing angles performed. And it would show you on an individual level rather than a campaign level. But let's talk about the metrics here and what you kind of want to be looking for. Results is pretty straightforward. Obviously 330 website purchases. The reach is how many people have actually seen your advertisement, 2.4 million. Frequency is pretty interesting and something to keep in mind. The frequency is on average how many times has a single person seen your ad. If you reach a frequency of 2, that means on average every person that's seen your ad has actually seen it about twice. And you need to monitor this because ads do fatigue. After running it for maybe 2 weeks, a month, you might see a frequency rise to 2, and then you'd start seeing your sales decline because that means people on average saw your ad twice, probably didn't click on it, didn't want it. You're running out of audience to kind of target, so they're showing it to multiple people multiple times. So once you see an ad frequency of around 2, that's when you want to refresh your creatives, plug in new creatives in there, and just give a fresh new look at ads. And it should kick back up your return on your ad spend. So just something to keep in mind. Cost per result. How much did it cost? How much on average to get a sale? $7.64. Your budget doesn't really matter. It'd be the campaign budget. Amount spent total makes sense. Impressions are the number of times your ads were on a screen, not reach. It's a little bit different. CPMs is the cost per 1,000 impressions. A lot of people look at this. It's kind of a vanity metric. What it means is how much does it cost on average to show your ad to 1,000 people? To show your ad to 1,000 people, it's $4.87, which is really, really cheap. This totally depends on your niche, which is why it's kind of a vanity metric. If you have a really large niche with really great ad creatives, you could see your CPMs drop, and that would be a good thing typically. But if you've got a very specific niche, like you're selling fly fishing rods, it's going to be a lot higher because there's not that many people interested in fly fishing rods. So it just depends on your product. I wouldn't really worry about this too much, to be honest with you. It's more worrisome once you start seeing it rise a lot and you're receiving less sales for that. For link clicks, that's obviously as how many people clicked on your link. Cost per your link click. So this is how much it costs to get someone to click on your link. So for your link click through rate, this is also, I wouldn't say it's a vanity metric. You want it to be higher there, obviously, but it does depend on how low your CPMs are. If you have low CPMs, you're probably gonna have a low click-through rate. A lot of these metrics, to be honest with you, are really like product dependent and niche dependent. And the more and more time that you spend running advertisements and money that you spend on them, you're gonna start seeing some similarities. You might say, oh, when my cost per link click is around 20 cents, I'm really profitable. When it goes up to 35, it means it's not that great of an ad. These are all kind of things that you learn, again, based on your product and your niche, and you start to kind of see these similarities happen in patterns. So I definitively can't say like if your cost per click is under $1, like you have a great ad. It really just depends on your niche and industry. And then there's the clicks, how many clicks all, click the rate of all clicks, cost per click all. So the difference between clicks and link clicks is just, this could be a click on your profile or something else, but this is a click on the link, which we really want people to go for. So that's kind of more important than clicks overall. So those are like the main metrics you're looking at, but really what you want to look at most and care about the most is really just your cost per result. Is your cost per result better than your break-even ROAS? Are you making money on these ads or are you not? If you're close, great. Maybe we could change some things, change the landing page, optimize it. If it's way under and you're not making any sales, probably not a good ad, probably not some good angles, maybe not a great landing page or website. And this brings me to my last topic, which is if your cost per result is in the money, you are making money on your ads, we want to scale it up, right? We want to jack up the spend on your ad account to $1,000 a day, $5,000 a day. Because if you stay at that same cost per result, you're scaling up your store and you're profiting more day over day. Which brings me into scaling. So scaling, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can scale by increasing the budget of that campaign that we just made. And to do that, let's go back to our ad campaign that we just started. And let's say it was really profitable. An option that we can do here is click on edit. And then we scroll down here to where the budget is. And we'd go from $100 to no more than 120. You don't want to increase your budget by more than 20%. It can re-trigger the Facebook algorithm to start over essentially. So you want to be really careful with that and cautious. You don't want to go over 20% every 7 days. It's a slower scale. I don't like to do this that much, honestly. Instead of increasing the budget, what I like to do is just strictly duplicate. So if it was $100 that we're spending on that and the whole campaign was doing well, we would click duplicate here, number of times you want to do it, click duplicate. It would make an exact copy where you can adjust the budget there. You could say, I want $200 for that campaign. So if you had a duplication, you'd have one running at $200 and one original one running at $100. Now duplicating the CBO is really only viable if all of the marketing angles or the ad creatives underneath are profitable, which is most likely not the case. Let's say we ran our ads for 5 days and marketing angle 1 was clearly performing the best. The results were, $5 cost per purchase. All the other ones were maybe 15, 20, 30. This one, people like the retainer cleaner the most for the marketing angle. So now what you can do is actually just isolate this one specifically. And there's a couple options to do that, but I think the best way to isolate it is really just creating a new campaign, plugging in one line item for the ad set level and one line item for the ad creative, just this ad creative that was winning. So instead of having 6 here, we would just have just this one because it was the one that people resonated with the most and performed the best. And then you can set the budget to whatever you want. Keep everything the same, what you just did for the first one, have the budget higher, and now it's running only that angle and it's spending anywhere from $100 to whatever you put for the budget. And now you're scaling up this specific angle. That is a great way to do it. I like doing that the best personally in terms of isolating that winning ad creative right there. That's how I like to duplicate, but keep in mind, you always want to be testing new ad creatives. So if this was the best, the retainer cleaner, you don't really want to stop there. You don't want to just scale that one up only. You want to actually have different ad creatives testing against each other, isolating different variables and testing. So now let's say I had the retainer cleaner as the best winning one. My next step would be to plug this one into a new CBO with 5 more ad creatives, all with the angle of retainer cleaner. But there might be videos in there, maybe different images, different color of the video, different hooks. Now you're testing the hooks and the colors against each other because it might perform better than the original one. Or they could all perform worse and this was just the best angle and best image you've ever created. But the point is you always want to be testing and isolating variables against each other because everything can always be optimized. All right, guys, there you have it. That is the ad strategy that I'm currently running in 2024 and moving into 2025. If anything changes, I'll update and post a new video on this. But this is the best ad strategy out there right now. It's simple. It's easy to do on any budget. It's very easy to set up and it works with any size of business. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to check out some of my other videos. I've got a lot of great full tutorials on my channel as well. If you guys did, leave a comment with any questions that you have, like the video and subscribe because I post e-com content twice a week. All right, guys, again, thank you for watching and I'll see you guys next time.